So thanks everyone for joining in. As I was telling Anna and Pulchit and everyone, I've been on this journey of creating. I'm a big tech guy, so I was trying to understand, and I'll talk a little bit more about this. But trying to understand how do I get a grip of my life rather than life gripping me. So I went on this journey about creating a life operating system, but it didn't start with life operating system. So let me go ahead. So let me know when you are able to see my screen.
Yes, we can say.
Yeah, visible. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Great. So that will help you to get. I put some content together, and what I'll do is I'll mix it up between PowerPoint and actually show you what I've done, so you will see what things are going on. But by the way, life operating system is also known as second brain, is also known for many other things. But since I brought this topic about, and many of you got interested, I use the two keywords: life operating system and second brain. So before I go in even talk about life operating system and second brain, I want to give a sneak peek. Many of you don't know me, but I just want to give a sneak peek about my life, right? What my life is all about. And I'm sure I'm not alone. All of you are in the same boat, and this is what my life looks like today, right? And what I mean by these five dimensions, I work. I'm not a CEO or a coach or anything, but I'm working for a company. So I'm a working professional, but I'm also an advisor to many startups. I conduct a lot of trainings, professional trainings. Not these are like I don't have my Skillshare or anything like that, but I do have connects with the universities where I go and teach, and these are more pro bono to just share my knowledge. So there is that industry aspect to me. There is a passion aspect to me as well, where I have my own podcast, which is called Masters Decoded. I have my own YouTube channel. I have my own blog, and I'm pretty much active on social media. And then there are certain accountability pieces which are there more personal to me, which is around my habits. I want to develop certain habits. I want to hold myself accountable on certain habits. And there are, you can see I'm a big guy. I've been on this weight loss journey or trying to take care of my health for the last 10 years. So there is that accountability piece on habits as well as workout. I'm sure all of you go through this phase of knowledge. And what I mean by that is there is so much of knowledge we are consuming today, we tend to forget. At least I'm at that age. I'm not that old, but there is so much of overload of information, I tend to forget. And what I mean by that is I'm consuming knowledge through media, and this media can be written media or visual media. I read a lot of books. I listen to a lot of others podcasts and other medium to consume information. And I also attend a lot of trainings, right? I would say LPS for me was a training program as well. So there is a lot of these trainings which I'm consuming. There is too much of knowledge inflow, which is an overburst of information. And last but not the least is, I'm sure all of us have our family, friends, financial commitments we all have to do. And it took me some time to kind of, and this started about 2019. I actually put this up. I wanted to at least put my life in words, what my life is all about. I'll take a pause here before we go ahead. Does this resonate with all of you? Do you all also have a similar picture of your own life? Uh, I'll take a pause before we. Does this resonate like what I was just showing?
I think it might not be like exactly the same, but then some way or the other, some points are there, some points are not there. Some people might have some other points, but yeah, more or less the major fields that are all covered.
What about? Has anybody done a similar exercise? Well, you all have put your life on a paper.
No, I have never done that.
Anyone else? Actually,
I
put your
did.
life on.
I have, Anish, kind of done for my kind of the career part. I've put it on a mind map. So
I'm sorry.
this Punyam here, Nana.
Punyam.
Punyam.
Punyam was saying.
So yeah, I have, I mean, not for the personal aspects, but yeah, for the career part, I have put it on a mind map.
Okay.
I did that exercise. I think I did that exercise during the lockdown.
Okay.
Trying to do some retrospection of where I am, what all things I have done. To build the story around it, actually.
Okay. And when you did this mind map, I don't know how many of you will understand mind map. Anybody understands mind map? What mind map is?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jasmine.
Hi.
So yeah, okay, interesting. Punyam has put together mind map. That's a very interesting thing, and somewhere the life operating system kind of talks about this overlapping, convoluted, and you're basically trying to decode your brain, right? That's what this idea is all about. So that's an interesting exercise. So that's the reason why even I did that is because I wanted to take it ahead of career because what was happening to me is, and the reason why I did that, and I'll show you what I did after that so that it gets a little bit more real, is uh, it became a little bit more overwhelming for me when I said this, okay, I put this up, but it is wrong to actually look at all of these aspects with the same lens. And what I mean by that is you can't prioritize, and on a day-to-day, if you have to dissect your 24 hours or if you have to dissect the, let's say, 178 or whatever number of hours are there in the week, if you have to dissect that, you don't spend equal amount of time on everything else. So when you do that, and there are some of them don't even include your aspirations or things you want to spend time on. So when I did this, what I did is I just simple thing. I just put color, not color, but just increase the font size. Where am I spending more time and energy behind? And it put a lot of things in perspective for me personally, because it kind of said, okay, am I spending my time, energy on things which I want to do and not do, or are there things which are taking time and energy away from me, which I shouldn't be spending time on? So this simple exercise of putting my life in a picture or in a simple text kind of helped me to take a step back. And then what happened is I realized there is only one thing which is constantly changing in my life is time. And rather than time controlling what I do and how my day goes about, can I be not a master of my time, but can I just at least be in control or at least disperse my energy, my time in a certain way where I can focus on things which I want to focus on and try to get things done which will help me to do. And the reason why I did that is, you know, prioritization of my day to day, prioritization of my week was becoming a big challenge. I was losing control of my time. The classic task list, which many people say, if you want to get productive, build a task list, build a to do, everything. And even I've been a victim of that. I'll show you. Today, I am doing task lists, I am managing my tasks. But at the end of the day, all of us were not getting brain satiated. Oh, I've achieved something in life, right? uh, you know my weeks were just going by, my days were going by, and I spoke about that knowledge piece. I was just consuming, but I was not able to retain knowledge. I was not able to leverage that knowledge on my day to day and have that knowledge work for me rather than me working the other way. So that was my state, and that's why I went on this journey, as I said, 3-4 years ago, and I'm still on that journey. I will not say I've perfected it. I will show you completely what I've done, and I'm still working on it. And I'm sure uh, Life plugin brought in a lot of emotions, but this was literally what was happening of me. Every day I was cycling emotions as if I'm on a treadmill running at 8 miles or 10 miles an hour. Imagine a big guy like me running 8 miles, 10 miles on a treadmill. That was the state at which I was personally. Like, I was cycling emotions like crazy. I was not at mental peace. So I had to take a step back. Definitely people spoke about productivity as a big piece, but I found that productivity was a big challenge for me, because everybody says, hey, you need to get productive, you need to go to manage time, you have to get productive, which means you have to get better at traditional task management, you have to take notes, you have to become a note enthusiast, you have to write notes strategically. But candidly, what was it resorting to? I kind of became slave to those technologies, to those platforms, or to those exercise, rather than it working the other way, right? And maybe I am different. I don't know if it works for everyone, but I can't get slaved or enslaved by certain things, or can't work in a boxed environment, or can't work in a very boxed structures. Like, 8 से 9 यही करना है, 10 से 11 यही करना है, 11 से 12 यही करना है, ये टूल ये चीज के लिए करना है, ये टूल ये चीज के लिए. I can't do that. I'm completely, I will kill myself if I have to do that. So that's where I said, this thing is not working out. And this is after realization, working for 23 years, I realized that boss, ye nahi chalega mere liye, otherwise something else is going to happen to me. And that's where I went on this journey. And that's where I got introduced to life operating system, because I went on a path to find, okay, what is a better way to do this? And somewhere I was trying to figure out, how can I take this physical brain which is there, how do I digitize it, or how do I at least see what is happening internally and do that. So I didn't put any probes or anything like that in my mind, by the way. And I used some systems, and I'll talk about what that. But then when I went on that, I kind of started doing my research. And this is the 5-step process which I have put together for myself. And I have evaluated. If you actually Google life operating system, or if you Google second brain, actually there is a book by Tiago Forte who talks about the second brain. I can share that link with you all if you all are interested to buy that book. Not recommend that book. There are enough 1 page or 2 pages on that book. If you don't want to spend time reading that book, I can even share those online 1 page or 2 pages which summarizes the book effectively. But he has a framework, somebody else has a framework. I believe I need to build my own framework. So I built this 5 steps. So like the first thing which I did is I identified the root causes. I identified what my life looks like. Second, I defined my future vision, right? All coaches, if you've been through a coaching program or any coaching program, they will say, define the vision where you want to be. It can be the end vision. It can be a vision in the next 5 years, 3 years, whatever it is. You should define that vision, and you should define that vision on a paper. Like, what do you want to do? Since I'm a technologist, I believe in technology in a significant way. I said, okay, I can't get bogged down with one technology and just kind of make my life around it, rather than the other way, where that technology works for me rather than me working for the technology. So I was really looking to build a personal tech stack, and all of us invariably, knowingly, unknowingly, have that tech stack. So if I have to ask you all today, like, where do you take your notes? How do you manage your tasks? How do you manage your calendar? How do you connect with friends? You all will say, each one of you will rattle 3 or 4 or 5 platforms on a daily basis. And so that's your personal tech stack, by the way. It's not just about the tech. That's what I mean by tech stack, as an example. So that's the other aspect. And the main thing is, you can build anything, but if you don't implement and if you don't use and if you don't learn from it, it doesn't help. And last but not the least is, you need to constantly monitor and evolve. You can't just build once and forget. And I will show you what journey I've been through on a similar space. And when that journey began, I came across this platform, Notion. In fact, I spoke about this. The stage 1 of my Notion was where I completely, what I said, what I will not do, I actually did. Where I said, okay, I will use Notion. And in that, it was very randomized. And when I say randomized, it didn't have any structure. It had a task list, it had notes, it had a knowledge section. And I was finding it difficult. I was not able to keep up with it on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. Then stage 2 came up, where I actually learned about, okay, you can actually build a life operating system, which invariably, if anybody has worked in the corporate world or understands what the terminology I will use, companies which started implementing ERPs in 2000, which is SAPs, Oracles of the world, let me tell you, after 22 years, they are still implementing. किसी का भी implementation अभी तक खत्म नहीं हुआ है, right? It is a fact. You can take it from me. It is there. And I was going down that same route. ये कभी implement हो ही नहीं रहा था मेरे से, right? Personally also. And this is 2020. I'm talking about early 2020 before pandemic. So it was too much for me, right? ये बड़ा ERP बनते जा रहा था, and it was becoming so monolithic. वो खोलता था, मैं बंद कर देता, right? आप लोग के साथ भी होता रहेगा. When you open your task list, वो इतना headache देता है, वो इतना बड़ा task list देखिए, you shut it down, right? So you wanted something which was kind of killing you inside, rather than, we all get excited with any new tech and with any new thing we build for ourselves, and then immediately we shut it down. और वही हुआ मेरे साथ. So today where I am, right, I have built this personal tech stack, right, or I will call this as an individual tech stack, where I'm not only using Notion, I'm also using Roam, and I'm using one day app, and I'll show you all of this, what I'm doing, okay? But before I go ahead, I know I have skimmed through certain content pretty quickly. If anybody has any questions, thoughts, or share your personal experience, because as I said, this is not just about Anis coming and coaching or presenting or anything. This is a conversation among friends. If you have anything, would love you to go ahead and share your perspective. If anybody has done something similar, or what I'm calling it as.
I did try Notion, and that is what, when we just open the app and it's like, oh my God, shut this down. So this happened with me.
Okay. Anybody has using apart from Notion, and I want to learn if you're using something else and if you've seen success with that, would love to hear. No?
Notion has worked out the best for me as well so far.
Okay, that's interesting.
I'm also looking for something, and in case you know it, I'm looking for something, a note management system which can also give me a graph view of it. Like, there are a few that I haven't tried, Roam Research and a bunch of others that I haven't tried yet. REM Note, Roam Research, but like with them there are limitations. Like there are no tables, capacity, like database, etc. elements are not there. So if you find something comprehensive, do share. Yeah.
नहीं मैं आपको बताता हूँ how I'm using Roam on a daily basis. In fact, I'll share it with you all so that it gives you all a better perspective. So how I'm using a mixture of 2 or 3 things, right? That's why I was saying don't get confined to one platform. Anybody else? Thanks, Pulkit, for sharing that. That's interesting. And if you have things you all want to talk about, what you do in Notion, I would love to hear that as well. Jasmine, Bhargavi, any thoughts from you?
So I am
Never
a little
used it.
lost. I don't know what is Notion as well. Never used it.
Yeah, haven't used it.
Okay, interesting. Okay, so some people have used it. Pulkit has used it. Naina has opened it and shut it down like me, what I have done in the past. But let me share my screen and I'll show you the entire screen of mine so that you'll see what's going on. So this is what I have done now at Notion, right? This is ek din ka kaam nahi hai. This has happened over a period of time for me, right? And this has really worked for me and it has really helped me. And today when I look at it, I feel nice about it, by the way, right? So it's like when you open your computer or when you open your Mac, you should feel nice about it, right? So I built this as a live operating system, like, जैसा आपका wallpaper होता है, as an example, on a daily basis, when you open your computer, you feel nice about it. So this is what I did, okay? It has a basic calendar. It's telling me time. I don't even have to look at the watch or just flip it. It's just telling me my time. It's giving me some wonderful quotes. Just motivates me personally. This is me. आप लोग के लिए weather रहेगा. It can be a city trivia. It can be anything, right? You can do many things. And I'm not trying to sell Notion, by the way, here. You can do this on any other platform, by the way. And you can do this in your Windows laptop. It has a basic inbox, right? And there is no emails coming here. But if I want to write some weird thought which comes in, as an example, right? I can go ahead and do that. And then I have created certain pillars, right? Like you saw what I was talking in that my life, I created certain pillars. So there are this, and I'll show you my vision board. I created a vision board. I'll show you my vision board, which is now digitized. Earlier it was on a paper. There are certain programs which I'm working on. It's not just working, but there are many other things. Yes, there are tasks. There is, as I said, I'm an advisor, so I'm advising certain startups. So there is some work around that. So I have a launch pad from here. There are certain priorities in my life. So there is a YouTube channel, my blog, my podcast, my social media. I have a team who's doing some of my personal stuff. So, I'm collaborating with them and I'll show you what I'm doing. And then there are jump boards, right? And these names are mine. It makes me fun, exciting. Oh, it's accountability tracker, right? Like, some of these things which I like to talk about. So there is a daily habit tracker, there's a workout tracker. All of these things are here. And if there are certain goals which I have put in, right, that there are certain broad goals which I want to do, which are short-term goals, by the way. I have put them here, right? You can see some of them. There are certain quick notes which I want to write. There are none right now, but I can write them. There are ideas which come in, right? I'm sure there are a lot of ideas which all of us get. खुराफती ideas जो बोलते हैं, वो हमें सबको आता है everyday basis पे. Whether it's work-related, passion or anything, you can quickly put it up. So this is my homepage. Like computer का live operating system का कैसा homepage होता है? This is my home. Make sense?
Yeah.
Right? And you can design this. You can go ahead and do this. And I always recommend कि आप खुद करोगे तो अच्छा है. किसी और करके देगा, you will never use it. By the way, right? It takes an effort. मेरे को COVID हुआ था. I had got COVID. Enough time, right? So I actually had nothing to do. Nobody was around. So I actually sat and designed this thing. This is way back in 2020. And then, like I said, I have my vision board, right? So this is my vision board. It means many things to many people. But it's pictures. It's not text much, right? So what does my headstone looks like if I have to be remembered as what should my headstone carry, right? So that's my vision board as an example. There are certain advisories, so there are certain notes, like I have certain actions. I can do a lot of, hierarchical stuff. It allows me to do that. And I'll come to this energy investment planner, but this is all private, by the way, as you can see. Now I am also having my team spaces. And what I mean by team spaces is I work with one team, right? For my personal passion and program. This is my team working for me. This is nothing to do with my corporate life. So all the coordination I'm doing it here. So they have access to this. They can do this. I don't have to use. And you can, by the way, again, as I said, I'm not selling this Notion. You can use Google Drive, Google Teamspace. You can design your live operating system according to the tools and technologies which is relatable to you, not something which is relatable to me, as an example. Same thing with my blogs. The idea of showing you all of this is, you see the structures and everything are very different than what it is. It's not similar because everything requires a different treatment, right? Your things in life require different treatment. So that's where the aspect is. So this is where my team gets involved, and they are involved in this entire conversation and all, right? Now, as I said, Notion was my only platform. By the way, what I have also done is, so this is what you see. Merchants is my personal company where I'm driving my own content and all of that. But then there is work, which is where I work at the company called Koshai, where I'm in the technology. There, the view is almost the same, but there are things which are only pertaining to my company. That's nothing to do with what I do on the personal life. I have split it up. Okay, we all live dual life, right? I always say that we all live dual life, right? And for me, I live dual life because I work and I also am doing things on my own. So this is my, the two sides of the coin, as you can say. So these are my two sides of the coin. So this is my other side of the coin. And I don't want to show the other side of the coin what I do. It does need not be, because tomorrow if my company says, hey, this is the company's information and I want you to give it back, I'm happily ready to give it back because there's no personal information. So that's the idea. So then there are tasks here, and I'm getting away from tasks. I'll talk about this because I'll tell you why. Because you can see there are certain tasks which is created in 2021 मैंने आज तक नहीं किया, because like Naina said, ये open करके मैं close कर देता हूँ, right? And I have learned something new, and I will share that what that new thing is, right? Which is very impressive, and I learned from somebody, and I'll share that what I have learned, which is very interesting, at least in my mind. I was talking about this knowledge piece, right? That how do you retain knowledge? How do you enhance your knowledge? Now today, as part of your job or as part of whatever you do, whether you're coaching, you're an entrepreneur and all of that, you come across a lot of content, whether it can be written content, Instagram, whatever. How do you store it? How do you go back to it? Because all of us want to go back to it somewhere in the future. So this is what I do. Okay, and I'm showing you that there are certain articles which I have read, right? I want to quickly store it. So what happens is, you can see here as an example, sorry, YouTube is playing, but I can save this page in my knowledge vault as an example directly. I don't need to do this, and I can get back to it once a week to see what I have done as an example. So this is what my media looks like. This is what my library looks like. Okay, and what is library? It's my virtual physical book piece, right? So you can see how you have a bookshelf. This is my bookshelf. Okay, so I have not only read this book, and there are certain things, but what I'm doing is I'm actually taking notes. ये भी होता है हमारे साथ, right? And some people read books in very different ways, by the way. Some people will put post-its, some people will put markers, some people will underline it. You do what works for you. But for me, since I'm a digital tech guy, what I've done is I started putting down notes so that if I have to go back to it or if I have to search something, I can search. Okay, so this is what happens for me, right? I used to read so many books and I forget. At this age, memory, there is a limited capacity all of us have. So I used to forget. So what I started doing is I started putting those notes down. It really helped me today to retain that knowledge. I can always go back to it. I don't have to open that book because मेरे साथ क्या होता है, and I'll be, maybe I'm unique, or I'm sure it may happen. वो पढ़ी हुई books वापस पढ़ी नहीं जाती. Or especially these management type of books, वो पढ़ी नहीं जाती है वापस, right? आप Mills and Boone या Archie's या Tintin, yeah, Asterix and Obelix, those are like things which you will always keep reading, right? I still read Asterix and Obelix as an example. Even if I've read it 10 times. But management books, you can't keep reading it. So that's what I started doing, by the way. And it basically aligns to the books I'm reading. And it has a workflow, right? So it tells me, okay, I'm reading some of these books. I have completed certain books. So it kind of becomes a vault, right? Like a knowledge vault, which I can always go back to it. And it becomes a pipeline also for me. If I'm reading these books, I can always make it as a part of my pipeline. And then if there are any courses I'm taking, as an example, I'm taking some of these courses. So I'm even taking that notes here. As an example, okay, I'm learning trading, so I'm putting down those notes here. Whatever I understand from it, so that I can go back. I don't have to watch those videos or go back to the books or whatever it is. So that's what I'm doing here as part of my knowledge. Any questions, thoughts? Before I progress, because there's so much I'm showing. I'm sure it's an information load for you all also.
Anis, I had a question.
Yes, Jack.
So thanks for sharing this. It's really cool. The way you've just put it all together. But the minute you opened it, I just got overwhelmed. And it's nothing to, like Naina said, I am programmed, I'm hardwired like that. I'm a very visual kind of a person. So for me, I'm old school. I like my vision board. I'll write 10 times if I have to write, make notes. I have my blueprint put here. I have my vision board here. I have a separate book where I write motivational quotes. I have a separate book. If I've read something, I'll make notes. And I'll connect the dots. I'll open the book, I'll shut. But I like the feel of paper. I like to see that I'm seeing it with my eyes. The minute I don't get on my laptop, even for work, for me, it's scrolling on the phone. But the minute you make your life on that, on the computer, it's just like I feel overwhelming. So am I losing out? I feel because I'm not giving my chance to open up to technology. I feel sometimes maybe I'm losing out on making a larger picture for your life, just because I'm probably holding myself back or getting overwhelmed. Like Harish said, could probably change that belief that you are not tech challenged. It's probably that belief in my head where I'm coming from.
No,
It
great
happens
question.
to a lot
And
of people.
it has happened to me as well. Okay, and I'll give you a great example, not of mine, because मैं खुद की मेरी बात करूँगा तो it will look like I'm trying to put myself up. I'll give you a real example. HDFC CEO, not the current one, the previous one. Fun fact: he never had a computer on his desk till the day he retired, and he built the biggest bank in the world. And like you, Jasmine, he always used to love paper and the feel of paper. तो जो भी reports है, जो भी है, उसके वहाँ पे papers report होते. उनको reports भी देखना था वो paper पे print out होते. I've worked with him and I know it as an example. So the reason of this life operating system is not with an idea that you get bogged down with technology, but the reason is that you have a system which you can get back to, like you said, books hai, post-its hai, pictures hai. Build something. Let it be offline. But do something, because today what is happening is time is being lost every day, right? I don't know if you will get value out of this today or no, but we are losing time every day, right? Every minute,
Right.
every second, so take control of that and create a system. That's my message. Whether it is technology or doing it offline, you're not losing it. It's your way of working. Your brain is processing it in that way. So be it, right? I'm just showing what I have done, right? But the idea is that you need to have, if you know how to write notes in the book really well, I know some people really do a good job. And you can always build a system where you can always get back to it, build that, right? But don't let this knowledge drain out happen, notes drain out happen, your time is being lost and you don't have a control of it. That's my idea of this life operating system and second break. That's my message, right? Let it be
Right.
offline, but capture it, retain it. The fun fact, I was listening to one podcast and that gentleman, if you all are interested, he says the source of happiness. He said there are so many moments in our lives, today we are not recording them. He said, click as many pictures you want. Let people say, okay, how much selfies he or she is taking. That doesn't matter. Capture them, because tomorrow, and I'll show you what happens is, I'm sure if you all are syncing your photos to Google Photos, we all remember 7 years ago, wow, we were there. Right? 3 years ago, wow, 2 years ago. Or if we have our albums of our kids' album, right? When we go back through those albums, it's really a pleasant feeling, right? So capture that. That's my idea of this life operating system is, don't let it go away. Let those moments, knowledge, thought, knowledge, let it just drain out and be forgotten. That's my idea of this life operating system. Sorry, it was a long drawn answer, but that was my perspective, Jasmine. I don't know if anybody
No,
agrees or
it's
disagrees,
beautiful.
but that is my
Brilliant.
perspective.
Yeah, the takeaway is at least let's capture it and capitalize it in whatever form it could be.
Yes, whatever format. Anybody else has a perspective would like to share?
I think, Anish, it's pretty much similar to how you prefer reading a book. Like some people like to read it on a tablet or a Kindle, and some people still kind of enjoy reading it on a kind of a hardbound copy.
Agreed.
Yeah,
And
the
I would
objective
give
is
a
that
tip.
you have that habit. Doesn't matter what tools you are using. Right.
Perfect. Yeah. So there are certain books I listen to audiobooks rather than reading them, as an example, because they need not have a visual element. But there is a very interesting book, Steal Like an Artist or Show Your Work. I would highly recommend you all not to even listen to its audio. Actually buy a physical copy. It is so fun. It is so nice to look at it, touch it, feel it, read it. It's an amazing book, right? It's a criminal offense if you listen to it on an audio version, as an example. Like you said, but if you're listening on, if you're listening on, like I was showing that Never Eat Alone book, it is an offline version. I'm not reading it on iPad. when I'm reading it, I'm actually making notes on my phone as an example. Similarly, when you're reading on an iPad, I'll give you a tip. There's a platform called Readwise. So on a Kindle, or if you're reading on anything, if you highlight it, if you want to store that quote or knowledge, if you just highlight it, Readwise can start storing it, by the way. So that is also a tip which I can share. Arjun, you had your hands up. Sorry, you wanted to say something.
Okay. See, when initially when you told me the system, I used to take notes. I used to write it in a book sort of a thing, and I had I also used a lot of books and all that. So I had around 10 to 15 books. But when I had to go back to the notes, it was frankly very difficult to go back and review and all that. So that is when I thought, okay, what is the next best thing I can do? I started doing this in Excel because that's the simplest software which we do. So what I used to do, every sheet of Excel, I used to take notes of one book, so that when I have to come back, 10 different sheets are there, I can see the content thing. And that is what I used to do. So all my things right now, I have filed it in Excel.
Yeah, it can be any technology. I'm not bought into technology, right? As I said, it's there. Jasmine, you have a hands up.
So one thing that I had a thought while you were talking, that when you have an app like what is called Readwise, where it stores when you highlight something, what I have realized is, going back to school days, like when you write something down, and it's probably those two powerful lines. Like, I started this movie, I put it on a pause because the opening lines were so beautiful. I wrote it down quickly, got my book. The retention value, and as they say, when you write, the power of writing is immense. So when you write a key few pointers down, I think it activates your brain on another level altogether. Because what is happening, I'm not against tech, like I'm not trying to say I'm against tech, but what I feel is that the power of writing, and you're reinforcing that thought by writing it. So you're writing it down, so it's going to stick with you and probably come back to at some point. So in a way, writing is good if there are key points, if not the whole thing, but sometimes writing with your hand, using our senses, that whole raw feeling is something else. I don't know. Or probably I'm hardwired, like I said.
No.
Just like
I'll
that.
give you one more brain hack. And by the way, I'm doing this today with an intention, and I'll share it right now. I'll give you the modern knowledge scientists. I would use the word. They have been giving a tip and a brain hack. What you just said, Jasmine, if you want to take it further, you teach somebody.
Yeah.
So the knowledge retention and that aspect extrapolates. So today,
Because
me
teaching
talking
is
about
learning.
life operating system, when I'm talking about it, I'm not only I had to do a lot of research, by the way, today also to come for this, right? So I have learned a lot, and today when I'm having this conversation with you all, I'm learning. So it's a selfish interest. It's not any other motive which I'm doing, because I want to get good at it personally, because to learn from all of you, right? So that's the recommendation I would have, is like, you're bang on. Like, when I'm writing, I'm not using Readwise, by the way. So I actually type it down. So that's I'm hardwired like that, right? When I type it down, it's there. But if I want to take it to the next level on a topic, I teach. And that's why I train people. Because to get better at my own job, I go to colleges to teach. Because student ke samne khada rehna, matlab you should be, at least you should have a certain level of knowledge to even talk about certain things, right? So if you do that, that becomes really powerful. It really helps you better. And it helps you many other things, but that retention of knowledge becomes very interesting. Punyam, you have a hands up.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to it that, I mean, absolutely what Jasmine said, that there's nothing like writing it down. You obviously remember it. I think if anyone wants to hack that in terms of technology, then again, you can use an iPad, write it on an iPad. So you get both the things, like you are having the feel of writing, as well as you digitize it. You can go back, search it, or create something out of it. Right?
I'll put my hand up. My handwriting is so bad. I used to do I'll show you this. I'll show you something which will be funny for many of you. But pardon me, I'm worse than a doctor when it comes to handwriting, right? So that became my issue, where technology sometimes is a boon and a bane, right? So this happened to me. Like, you can see this. मेरे को खुद को नहीं मालूम, मैं खुद नहीं पढ़ सकता था मैंने क्या लिखा, right? It became such a bad thing for me. Like, I used to listen to these podcasts, by the way, and I couldn't even remember मैंने क्या लिखा, मैंने क्या किया, and all of that, right? And I was listening to many podcasts, and there were very fun things which I was listening to. I was doing all these utter nonsense things. Let me just show you where they are. So this is the other thing. I forget where I've written down notes, right? So I used to do this, what you are saying, like, iPad pin notes. So anyways, I would say adopt a system. And Pulkit, since you mentioned Notion, Rome research, so this is what I'm doing. What was happening to me in notes, as a professional, as a personal thing, things are interconnected in life, right? Pulkit spoke about graph. I'll tell you, what your brain is almost like a network map, right? Like even Punyan mentioned about mind map. So what is mind map? It basically everything which we store in our head is not hierarchical. It's not like grandparent, parent, and a child. That's what a hierarchy is. It's all interconnected. Like we all got connected through life luggage. We never knew. At least I didn't know any one of you before this summer. So we got connected, right? So life luggage was a medium to connect all of us, and hopefully connection remains strong and all of that. So what was happening to me is that when I was writing notes, I would forget, "अरे, इसके साथ पहले क्या बात किया था, पिछले साल क्या बात किया था?" Is there a parallel thought? So it was getting difficult for me to search. So if you're putting it somebody's name, highlight it in a certain way. If you're putting a topic, put some emoticons or put some tags so that you can always refer it. That's the idea, right? And I'm using technology to make my life simple. But if you, like Jasmine said, you are hardwired to put notes, do that, right? But do in a system which basically allows you to go back and reference and make it easy. Like Arjun said, he's using Excel. That's great, right? Excel also allows you to do what I'm just showing you. But you need a system which you can go back and not lose this. That's the best idea. So that's what Rome is. And one day is my knowledge. By the way, my journaling app. I used to do journal in Rome first. I used to do journal in, and I've been on a journal journey. I used to do it in pen and paper. But like many of you, what kind of got me to journal is because it basically reminds you, and I'm just journaled, you can see 24, it's just been a month or more. And I don't journal every day. I'm bad at journaling every day. And I typically journal when I'm not in my mind, right? I want to just take something out of my mind on a paper, right? So that's what I use journaling for. Your journaling will be very different than what my journaling will be, okay? Whatever journal. But journaling has helped me to take a lot of things away from my mind and put it on paper, right? It has really helped me. And I was looking for something which almost becomes like a Google Photos. And this is what One Day does to me, right? It reminds me, same time last year, this is what you were talking about, right? So this is what journaling allows me, and this is what I'm using today. But going back to my presentation, right? As I showed you all today, when I'm using Notion, Rome, and One Day, I have a that dual personality, and this is stage 4. I'm not stopping here. I may evolve this, and what I have heard from you all, I may learn from it as well today, right? I may take some notes back. But this has been my evolution of life operating system. But before you embark, or if you're already on it, it's a journey. It's not do it once and forget, right? It is a journey. You have to design it offline first before you bring anything on technology. And if offline works, do it. Don't try to get bogged down with technology, right? Jasmine said offline is working beautifully for her, do it. If for Arjun, if it is working in Excel, do it. But design it offline first before you put anything on paper. You build a room like a walk-in closet. You may have a design closet or your life operating system closet. Do whatever you want to do, but design it first offline, like on a piece of paper. Put your point across. Do it yourself. Okay, there are many people who will tell you, "I'll build a Notion system for you. I'll build a life operating system for you." Don't do that, because you will never follow it. I've at least been a victim to that. Do it yourself. Seek help. You can always seek help, right? If you want to learn Notion, if you're really intrigued, you're a technologist, you can always seek help. By the way, you don't even have to pay money. You don't have to pay money to anybody. There's enough free learnings out there which you can learn. And as you start using it, you'll get used to it. You need to continuously evaluate it, right? I have been continuously going back to it, and whether, like Naina said, I'm opening it, am I feeling good about it, or am I shutting it down? If I'm shutting it down, something is wrong. So I need to go ahead and sit on a weekend, spend 1 or 2 hours and just get that fixed for me, right? And last but not the least is what I've been saying here: let tech work for you, not the other way around, where you become the slave and the victim to it. Right? That's my biggest. If I have to say, like Jasmine said, "मेरे को नहीं करना है. Please मत करो." Right? Do it offline. That's the best thing. And like every say, right? We are all always striving to be better today and tomorrow. So when you're building something like this, and my message is that you need to have a system, right? And when I'm saying system, it's technology, but always try to improve it. And the intention should be that we are trying to do it for ourselves, not for anyone else, by the way. Right? We need to be selfish here. We need to do it for ourselves. By the way, my company doesn't even use Notion. My company doesn't even use Roam Research, but I'm doing it with my own intention. I paid money for it and I'm using it because I want to get better at it. I want to be better today and tonight, not with any other company or anything else. So yeah, that's those are the thoughts. That's what I had to share today. But happy to open this up for any conversations, thoughts. Anybody would like to share their and Pulkit, since you've been using Notion, what have you been doing on Notion? You said you've been taking down notes or tracking things. What have you been doing? Pulkit is on mute. I said I will show you something, and this is an interesting thing which I'm doing today, which is I'm still developing it. What I learned about is something called as instead of task list, right? In fact, there was a very interesting conference which happened. It was online also. It was called the Masters of Scale Summit. It is again by Reid Hoffman. I'm a big fanboy. He had a summit there in US in California. I didn't get admitted to the physical one, but I was able to get admitted into the digital one. And during that conference, Satya Nadella mentioned very interesting thing. I'm sure all of you are either working or building your own business or anything. So we are all in this mindset of hybrid work, right? Whether you go to office or you're working from home or you're working from anywhere today, right? And I know some people are working from Goa also, as an example. You can work from literally anywhere. So what Satya said is the future of hybrid work is dependent on companies not focusing on tasks, but focusing on productivity and output. He didn't say it literally in this way, but I rephrase it in that way. Okay, and that's what his message was. And for me, this is what I am now building, which is my next big task list, right? So when we build a task list, that task itself is an energy drainer, right? For all of us. We have so many tasks which we have to do. So we also have to start thinking about where we want to put our energy, whether it is mental or physical energy, and how do we want to play it out. And all of us have our bucket list, whether it is bucket list for personal things or professional things, whatever those bucket lists are. How do you start putting those up? What is your active investment? What is your passive investments? And and if you complete it, you put it in your archive. So you can see when this is my new task list of sorts, but it's what I call I'm giving it a fun name, energy investment planner, right? Where would I like to put my energy today? And by the way, there's a fun fact. It's basically, there have been enough studies. You can put your energy on 3 things every day. They say 5 plus or minus 2, but I believe I can put 3 things every day. I can put my energy on. I can't do more than 3 daily basis, right? So what are those active investments on a daily basis which I will do? Okay. And you can do many things. In fact, you can put, if you're working out, that can be an active investment, by the way. But if you have a trainer, that can be a passive investment, as an example, which I'm showing. Okay. If you're working on a project, which can be many days, many months, that can be part of active investment. Okay. What I mean by that is, today, one of the issues which happens with task lists is, let's say, home renovate kar rahe ho, right? My mom always says, "Ghar khol ke dekh ya shaadi karke dekh." Itna chota chota kaam rehta hai, last tak kaam kabhi khatam nahi hota, right? We all have been through that. So if you have to build a sub task, that's a task itself, right? But if you don't do that and say, okay, home renovation, and you put an active investment, you're basically spending your energy every day. Or if you're getting married, or if you're planning for a marriage for someone else, there's a lot of things which you'll do. But if you try to break it down to tasks, and it's not working out for me. By the way, this task list which is here is not working out for me. I'm telling you right now, it's not working out. So I'm going into this energy investment. So this is a new thing which I'm doing for myself. I'm chipping off that task list and I'm getting into this mode. I'm still building it. It's still not done, but I just got the framework ready now. Now I will start putting things here. But this is something new which I'm doing. I just wanted to show you all this before we open it up, and if anybody has any other perspectives. And any feedback for me, happy to take that.
It was great. This is my feedback.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Nanda.
Thank you for doing this and connecting a lot of dots for, I think, pretty much all of us. Thank you again.
Yeah, thanks, Anis. That was really nice of you to have done this for us.